They say a good sheriff protects the innocent, but what happens when the powerful demand an example? Jib Stone wants a neck stretched, and he ain't used to being told no. The floorboards creaked beneath Sheriff Ben Crowder's boots as he crossed his office, the scent of stale coffee and dust hanging heavy in the air. Outside, the wind whistled through the copper mine shafts, a mournful sound that seemed to echo the unease settling in his gut. A fresh telegram lay on his desk, the paper thin, but the message weighty. Governor arriving by stage in 48 hours. Hanging must proceed as scheduled. Justice demands swift action. The telegraph key in the corner ticked out a slow, steady rhythm, a countdown to something awful. Stone's influence reached far, even to the territorial capital. Crowder felt the weight of his star, heavy against his chest. Could he stop this, and should he? The sun bleeds across the canyon, painting the sky in hues of orange and blood red. Crowder remembered the scene. Silas, the storekeeper, laid out behind the saloon, a knife wound ragged across his throat. Ugly. Stone's foreman, a brute named Grady, was the first to find the body. He'd been quick to point the finger at poor old Otis, the town drunk. Otis was simple, harmless mostly. But he had a taste for whiskey and a loose tongue, and Jeb Stone had pockets deep enough to fill both. The air thickens with dust as a rider approached the office, the creaking leather saddle a familiar sound. It was Doc Miller, his face grim. "Ben," he said, his voice low. "I examined Silas. The wound. It ain't right. Otis's knife is dull, clumsy. Silas was killed with something sharper. Something precise." Crowder felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He knew Otis. He wasn't capable of such a clean, vicious cut. Stone was pushing this, pushing hard. But why? What was Silas mixed up in? And how deep was Stone involved? He thanked the doc, the floorboards groaning again as he walked him out. He watched him go, the wind whistling through the gaps in the buildings. Silence descends on the town as night falls. The only sound was the distant howl of a coyote, a lonely lament in the vast emptiness. Crowder returned to Silas's store, the yellow light from his lantern casting long, dancing shadows. He knelt beside the spot where Silas had fallen, the ground stained dark. He ran his hand through the dirt, sifting, searching. He found it near the edge of the alley, a broken pocket watch, the glass shattered, the hands frozen at 3:30. It was a cheap thing, but Crowder recognized it. Grady, Stone's foreman, always carried one just like it. But Grady couldn't read, couldn't write. He took orders, followed them blindly. He was a tool. This was no accident. Is the price worth the trail ahead? Why frame Otis? Why Silas? He pocketed the watch, the metal cold against his palm. The telegraph key ticked in his mind, a relentless reminder of the governor's impending arrival. 47 hours now. Back at his office, Crowder poured himself a glass of whiskey, a cheap stuff, but it burned going down. He stared at the wanted posters on the wall, faces of men long gone, ghosts of the past. He saw his own face reflected in the glass, etched with lines of worry and weariness. He was no saint. He'd made mistakes. Big ones. Is the price worth the trail ahead? He closed his eyes. The scent of rain teases the air, promising relief, but bringing none. Years ago, Stone had come to him, offered him a sum that could set his family up for life. All he had to do was look the other way while a few head of cattle went missing. He'd taken the money. He justified it. He'd told himself it was for his wife, for his son. But the guilt had eaten at him ever since. Was Stone using this now? Was this payback? Crowder opened his eyes, the whiskey glass clenched tight in his hand. He had a choice to make. He could let Stone railroad Otis, protect his own tarnished reputation, and keep the peace in Clifton. Or he could fight. But fighting Stone meant revealing his own past, risking everything he'd built. He thought of Otis, slumped in a cell, bewildered and scared. He thought of Silas, lying cold in the ground. Can he reach it before the light dies? He also thought of the town, and the delicate balance he had tried to strike since the rustling. A balance between Stone and the rest. What was the price of silence? The sun begins to rise, casting long shadows across the town. Crowder called for Grady to be brought in for questioning. Grady swaggered in, his boots scuffing against the wooden floor. He reeked of sweat and whiskey. "Sheriff," he drawled, "what's this about?" Crowder held up the broken pocket watch. "Recognize this, Grady?" Grady's eyes flickered, a flicker so quick that only a lawman would notice. "Never seen it before." "Don't lie to me, Grady," Crowder said, his voice low and hard. "This was found near Silas's body. It looks just like the one you always carry. Is the price worth the trail ahead?" Grady's face hardened. "I ain't got no idea how that got there. Maybe Otis dropped it." "Otis can't afford a watch like that," Crowder retorted. "And Otis ain't the kind to stab a man in the back." He felt Stone watching them, knew he was close by. He could smell the dust on the air. The ticking of the telegraph key in his mind was nearly deafening. 45 hours, can he reach it before the light dies? He had nothing concrete on Stone. Just a broken watch and a gut feeling. Would that be enough? Grady shifted uncomfortably. "I told you, Sheriff, I don't know nothing about it." Crowder leaned closer, his eyes boring into Grady's. "Someone paid you to frame Otis, didn't they? Someone wanted Silas out of the way. What if justice kills hope?" Grady remained silent, his jaw clenched tight. What was Stone hiding? And how far would he go to keep it buried, thus jeopardizing his reputation and position? The scent of rain teased the air, a phantom promise in the arid land. Crowder stared at the broken watch, its silver gleam reflecting the harsh light of his office lamp. The gears were frozen, the hands stilled at precisely 3:17 a.m. 3:17. The time Martha Wilkinson was found dead. The wind whistling through the copper mine shafts carried a mournful tune, a dirge for the truth buried beneath layers of Stone's influence. He ran a callous thumb over the watch face. Simple Elias, Stone's foreman, couldn't read a clock, let alone orchestrate such a cunning frame. But Elias was a loyal dog, trained to bite on command. Was Stone truly capable of such cold-blooded manipulation? Crowder had dealt with ruthless men before, but this felt different. A calculated cruelty that chilled him to the bone. What if mercy ruins justice? He glanced at the telegram lying on his desk. 48 hours. The clock was ticking, each second echoing the distant train whistle, a sound that usually brought hope, but now carried the weight of impending doom. He needed to talk to Doc Holliday again, push him harder about the wounds. The drunkard, Billy Craddock, was pathetic, a shadow of a man easily bought with a bottle and a few silver dollars. The sun bleeds across the canyon, painting the sky in hues of orange and blood red. Crowder walked down the dusty street, the creaking leather saddle his only companion. The saloon doors swung open, spilling out a raucous melody and the stench of stale beer. He spotted Doc Holliday at his usual table, a deck of cards in his hand and a bottle of whiskey nearby. "Doc," Crowder said, his voice low. "We need to talk again." Holliday looked up, his eyes narrowed. "Sheriff, always a pleasure, though I suspect your visit ain't social." He gestured to the empty chair across from him. "Pull up a seat." "But I've told you everything I know. Craddock's weapon doesn't match the wounds. What more do you want?" "The truth, Doc Dyke. The whole truth. You saw Martha. You examined her. What are you holding back?" Crowder pressed, his gaze unwavering. Holliday sighed, took a long swig of whiskey, and wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. "All right, Sheriff. There was something peculiar. A small puncture wound, almost like a needle prick, on her neck. I didn't mention it before because it seemed insignificant, easily overlooked in the chaos." "A needle prick?" Crowder's mind raced. What kind of weapon leaves a mark like that? It wasn't Craddock's clumsy knife. This was something else, something precise, something deliberate. "Why now, Doc? Why tell me this now?" "Because, Sheriff, you look like a man who's about to do something desperate. And desperate men need all the cards on the table." Holliday's eyes glinted with a mixture of amusement and concern. "Just remember, sometimes the truth is a bitter pill to swallow. Is the price worth the trail ahead?" Crowder left the saloon, the weight of Holliday's words heavy on his shoulders. The air thickens with dust as a stagecoach rattles into town, stirring up the silence. He watched as it pulled up in front of the telegraph office. A young boy jumped down and handed a telegram to the clerk. "Another one?" He had a sinking feeling. He walked over, his boots crunching on the gravel. The clerk looked up, his face pale. "Sheriff, this one's for you. From the governor's office." Crowder took the telegram, his hands trembling slightly. He tore it open and read the message. The governor was arriving earlier than expected. 24 hours. Not 48. 24 hours to save an innocent man and expose a powerful enemy is the price worth the trail ahead? He needed to move fast. He needed evidence, something concrete that would link Stone to the murder. The broken watch was a start, but it wasn't enough. He needed to find the weapon, the one that left the needle prick. But where to start? And who could he trust? The rattlesnake warning hissed from the shadows of an alleyway, a chilling reminder of the danger that lurked in every corner of Clifton. He thought of Sarah, his wife, her face etched with worry. He couldn't let Stone win, not just for Billy Craddock, but for the soul of their town. But how far was he willing to go? How much of himself was he willing to sacrifice? He decided to visit Elias, Stone's foreman. It was a long shot, but he had to try. He saddled his horse and rode out of town, the setting sun casting long shadows across the desert landscape. He had to gamble that Elias knew more than he let on, and that a little pressure might crack his simple facade. But what if Elias was truly innocent, just a pawn in Stone's game? Would pushing him too hard only solidify Stone's position? The night air grew colder as he approached Stone's ranch. The ranch house was ablaze with light, a beacon of wealth and power in the vast darkness. He dismounted and walked towards the house, his hand resting on the butt of his revolver. He could feel the eyes of Stone's men watching him, their presence a silent threat. He had to be careful. One wrong move, and this could be his last stand. What if mercy ruins justice? The scent of rain teases, but the wind howling through the copper mine shafts drowns its promise. Crowder clutches the broken watch, the cool metal a small comfort against his sweating palm. Identical to Finn's. But Finn couldn't read a wanted poster, let alone orchestrate a murder. Stone was using him, like a hound on a scent he couldn't place. A distant train whistle screams, a mournful echo, a nod, in Crowder's gut. The governor. 48 hours to unravel Stone's web and save an innocent man. Could he do it without tearing Clifton apart? He walks back to the jail, the creaking saddle a lonely song. Silas, the town drunkard, slumped in the cell, snoring softly. Harmless, pathetic even. But the doctor's words rang. Hit that wound. It weren't made by no drunken swipe. The sun bled across the canyon, a fiery distraction from Clifton's brewing ugliness. Crowder unlocks the cell. Silas startles, eyes wide with fear. Sheriff? What's going on? Tell me everything you remember from the night of the murder, Silas. Every detail. Leave nothing out. Silas Damas, I told you, Sheriff. I was drunk. Real drunk. Don't remember much of nothing. Is the price worth the trail ahead? Try, Silas. Try real hard. Someone wants you to take the fall. Someone powerful. Silas shakes his head, tears welling. I didn't do it, Sheriff. I swear I didn't. Crowder believes him. Has to. But belief ain't proof. He needs something or who pays if he chooses wrong. He spends hours questioning Silas, pressing for any flicker of memory. Silas offers only the same garbled account. The air thickens with dust, a gritty reminder of the relentless pressure. The governor's arrival looms. What if Silas is telling the truth, but genuinely doesn't remember? Could Stone have planted the evidence so perfectly, even the victim's wounds are part of the deception? Crowder leaves Silas locked up, heads to the saloon. Stone holds court there, surrounded by cronies, sipping whiskey, dispensing favors like a king. The saloon clatters with glasses, murmurs with conversations, and stinks of stale beer and sawdust. A drunkard's rattlesnake warning goes unheard. Is the price worth the trail ahead? He finds Stone at his usual table, a smug look plastered on his face. Sheriff Crowder? Stone booms, false cheer in his voice. To what do I owe the pleasure? I need to ask you some questions about the murder, Stone. Stone raises an eyebrow. Haven't you already arrested the culprit? What more is there to discuss? What if justice kills hope? Just tying up loose ends. Crowder pulls up a chair, ignoring the glares. You knew the victim, didn't you? He worked for me, yes. A man. Loyal to you. Loyal enough to keep secrets? What will it cost him now? Stone's smile falters. Everyone has secrets, Sheriff. What's your point? My point is, I found something near the scene. A broken pocket watch. Crowder holds it up. Recognize it. Stone examines the watch, his face impassive. Looks like any other cheap timepiece. Why should I? Is the price worth the trail ahead? It's identical to the ones your foreman, Finn, carries. Stone laughs, a harsh sound. Finn? That simpleton? You think he's capable of murder? You're grasping at straws, Sheriff. Maybe. Or maybe someone put him up to it. I'll need a few men to tell you. What will it cost him now? And who would that be, Sheriff? Are you accusing me? Stone's voice hardens. I'm just asking questions, Stone. Be careful what you ask, Sheriff. Some questions have answers you might not like. Is the price worth the trail ahead? Crowder stands. I'll keep that in mind. He leaves the saloon. The silence descends. Stone's threat hangs heavy. Crowder knows he's walking a dangerous path. He's challenging a man who controls this town, a man who can make his life very difficult, very quickly. What if Stone decides to stop playing games and simply eliminate Crowder? How far is he willing to go to protect his power? Crowder returns to his office, the familiar creaking saddle beneath him. The telegram from the governor sits on his desk, a stark reminder of the ticking clock. Nightfall approaches. He needs a plan, and he needs it fast. He glances at the case file, then grabs a bottle of whiskey, uncorks it, and tosses it into the trash. He won't let it addle his thinking. He needs to find Finn. The foreman is the key to unlocking the truth. But finding him won't be easy. Stone will have him hidden away, protected. He closes his eyes, trying to piece together the puzzle. The broken watch, the victim's wounds, Silas's drunken ramblings, Stone's veiled threats. They're all pieces of the puzzle, but they don't quite fit. Not yet who pays if he chooses wrong. The wind whistling through the copper mine shafts carries a different tune tonight, a mournful dirge that speaks of betrayal and deceit. Crowder feels a chill. He's close, he can feel it. But he's also running out of time. As the first light begins to paint the eastern sky, Crowder decides to gamble. He knows Stone's weakness, his arrogance. He believes he's untouchable, that he can control everything and everyone around him. Crowder will use that arrogance against him. He sends a message to Stone requesting a meeting at the mine. He tells Stone he has new evidence, evidence that could exonerate Silas. He doesn't reveal what the evidence is. He leaves it vague, enticing what will it cost him now. Is Crowder walking into a trap? Is he giving Stone the perfect opportunity to silence him permanently? The rattlesnake warning goes off in his head. Loud and clear, can he reach it before the light dies? The scent of rain teased the air, raising dust devils that mocked his inaction on Main Street. He smelled the storm, like he smelled the lie hanging heavy in Jeb Stone's promises of a fair trial. Crowder walked, boots heavy, toward the jailhouse. Creaking leather announced Deputy Miller's approach. The man looked greener than a desert cactus after a flash flood. "Sheriff," Miller croaked, "Stone's men are restless, drinking heavy at the saloon, talking loud. What if mercy ruins justice?" "Talk is cheap, Miller," Crowder replied. Words rasped like gravel. "It's the silences that worry me." The sun bled across the canyon, painting the buildings blood orange. "How many hours until that stagecoach arrives?" 30. "Give or take," Miller replied, nervously adjusting his hat. "And the governor? He ain't known for his patience." Inside, Finnegan, a sad sack, snored in his cell. Finnegan couldn't punch his way out of a wet paper bag, let alone kill a man with such brutal efficiency. Justice versus mercy nagged at him. Could he let an innocent hang to hide his own past? Crowder examined the broken pocket watch again. Metallic tang, sharp, dawn. Stone's foreman's watch. He'd seen it glinting 100 times. Silas, a hulking brute, simple-minded, easily led. Was Silas the killer, or just a pawn? He walked back outside. Air thickens with dust, eyes watering. He needed answers fast. Stone was playing a dangerous game, and Crowder suspected he wasn't just framing Finnegan. He was trying to break the sheriff. Miller, Crowder said low. I need you to do something. Something that could get us both killed. What if justice kills hope? Miller swallowed hard. Anything, Sheriff. I want you to ride out to Stone's ranch. Quietly. Find Silas. And bring him back here. Alive. He watched Miller ride off, a lone figure against the setting sun. The wind whistling through the copper mine shafts seemed a warning. He was walking into a trap. He knew it. But he had no choice. What if justice kills hope? The hours crawled. Crowder sat on the porch, whittling. Silence descended, broken only by the creak of the jailhouse door and a distant coyote. He thought about his past, the bribe, the years of shame. A small thing then, to provide. Now, poison. What good was being a sheriff if you couldn't look yourself in the mirror? Suddenly, a rattlesnake warning cut through the stillness. From the alley behind the saloon, he rose, drawing his gun, a shadow. What if mercy ruins justice? He saw two of Stone's men, grim-faced, dragging a body toward a wagon. The clothes. The town doctor. He stepped out, gun raised. Hold it right there. They spun, eyes wide. One reached for his gun. Can he reach it before the light dies? Don't do it, Crowder warned. It doesn't have to end this way. The man fired. Crowder reacted, firing back. The man crumpled. The other dropped the doctor and ran. What if justice kills hope? He knelt beside the doctor, heart sinking. The man was barely alive. Doc, Crowder said. Urgent. Who did this? What happened? The doctor coughed, blood trickling. Stone. He found out. I wouldn't lie. The doctor's eyes glazed. Crowder felt a surge of rage. Stone had signed his death warrant. But the doctor was the only one who could attest to Finnegan's innocence. Now Stone silenced the one voice of reason. The clock ticked louder. Stagecoach tomorrow morning, Tartu. Less than 24 hours to expose Stone, say Finnegan. With the doctor dead, the evidence even more circumstantial. Had Miller even made it to the ranch? A trap? He stood, sun casting long shadows. He had to prove Stone's guilt, even if it meant sacrificing everything. Even his own dark secret. He had made a choice, and he would not back down. He strode back to the jail. He needed to talk to Finnegan. Maybe the drunkard knew more than he let on. He unlocked the cell. Finnegan, he said, low, I need you to tell me everything you know about Jeb Stone. Everything. Can he reach it before the light dies? Finnegan looked up, bleary-eyed. Stone? He's a powerful man, Sheriff. A dangerous man. I know, Crowder said. But I need your help. I think he's trying to frame you. Finnegan shook his head. I don't know anything, Sheriff. I just want to be left alone. Is the price worth the trail ahead? Crowder sighed. Nowhere. He needed something concrete, something that would convince the governor. Then he remembered. The doctor. He found out. I wouldn't lie. Lie about what? The answer hit him. The wounds. The doctor wouldn't lie about the wounds. He knew they didn't match Finnegan's weapon. But if Finnegan didn't do it, and the wounds didn't match his weapon, then what weapon could he make those wounds? And who wielded it? He backed out of the cell, mind racing. He needed to see the body again. Examine the wounds himself. Can he reach it before the light dies? He walked to the undertaker's, dust swirling. He asked to see Manley's body. Peabody, a nervous man, hesitated. "Sheriff," he stammered, "I don't know if that's such a good idea. The body is... well, it's not a pretty sight." "I need to see it, Peabody," Crowder said, firm. "It's important. Is the price worth the trail ahead?" Peabody led him to the back room. Manley's body lay on a table, covered. Crowder pulled back the sheet. Brutal, deep gashes crisscrossed Manley's chest. The doctor was right. These weren't clumsy knife wounds. Something else. Something sharp and heavy. Something like an ice pick? But who in Clifton would carry an ice pick? Fuller know about one. He'd asked the barkeep. Miller wasn't back, and he couldn't wait. This had to be quick. Can he reach it before the light dies? A distant train whistle pierced the silence. Time was running out. The scent of rain teased the air again. A storm was brewing, outside and in. He had a hunch, a dangerous one, but he needed confirmation. Can he reach it before the light dies? The scent of rain teased, but no drops fell. Tension choked the air. Crowder glanced at the broken watch, silver gleaming dull in the dim office light. A goddamn riddle wrapped in rattlesnake skin. He pushed back, the chair's leather saddle groaning in the silence. Air. He walked onto the porch, sun bleeding fiery hues across the canyon. Townsfolk stirred, faces etched with worry. They knew Stone, knew his capabilities. Crowder saw Doc Fuller heading for the saloon, shoulders slumped. Doc. A word. Who pays if he chooses wrong? Fuller stopped, reluctant. "Sheriff, I haven't changed my mind. Willie couldn't have done it. Not like that." "I know, Doc. I believe you. Tell me again, what didn't match?" Fuller sighed, dust thickening as a stagecoach rumbled past. "The angle, Ben. The depth. Willie's knife is clumsy. Not for that." He looked away, pale who pays if he chooses wrong. "And the strength?" Crowder pressed. "Exactly. Considerable strength and precision. Willie's a stumbling fool, not an assassin." Crowder nodded. Stone had money, Menditor. Could hire anyone. But why frame Willie? Why leave the watch? Mistake? Message? "Thanks, Doc," Crowder said, clapping his shoulder. "Your words mean more than you know." Fuller continued towards the saloon. Crowder scanned the street. Stone's foreman, Silas, hulking brute, leaned against the livery, chewing. Illiterate, yes, but not stupid. And that watch. Crowder crossed the street, the chair creaking in his mind, a warning. Silas straightened, eyes narrowed. What if mercy ruins justice? "Silas," Crowder said, voice even. "How's the boss?" "He's fine, Sheriff. Business as usual." "Good to hear." "Say, I found something. Maybe it belongs to you." Crowder held out the broken watch, sun glinting off the silver. What will it cost him now? Silas's face remained impassive. "Never seen it before." "Funny. Looks just like the one you always carry. I don't wear no watch. Silas spat tobacco juice into the dust. Too fancy for the likes of me. What will it cost him now? Crowder held his gaze. You sure about that, Silas? Lying to a sheriff's unhealthy. Silas shifted. I ain't lying. Now, if you'll excuse me, he turned away. Hold it, Crowder said, grabbing Silas's arm. I'm not done. What if justice kills hope? Silas tried to pull away. Let go, Sheriff. You got no right. Every right. A man's dead, Silas. I intend to find out who did it. He paused, lowered his voice. And if you're lying, you'll regret it. Silas's eyes flickered, fear masked by anger. You accusing me of something, Sheriff? What if mercy ruins justice? I'm asking a question, Silas. Where were you the night Jedediah Miller was killed? At the ranch? Sleeping? Ask anyone. Crowder released his arm, the scent of rain more insistent. I will, Silas. I will. He watched Silas walk away, back stiff who pays if he chooses wrong. Was Silas lying? Crowder bet on it. But why? Protecting Stone? Himself? And why was Stone so eager to pin it on Willie? What was he hiding? He glances at the sky. The territorial governor arrives tomorrow. He walked back to his office, the train whistle mournful. Less than 48 hours to unravel this. Save an innocent man. Face down a powerful enemy. But what if Stone had an alibi that couldn't be broken? What if Crowder was chasing shadows? He sat down, the creaking leather a sound of resignation. He needed something to break Stone's hold. He thought about his past, buried deep. Could he risk exposing himself? Risk everything to do what was right? The moral price. Too high. But wasn't that Stone's game too? The sun bled across the canyon, long shadows. He pulled out the telegram. Justice must be swift and decisive. Swift and decisive. Stone wanted it. The town expected it. But what if justice was a lie? He stood, grabbing his hat. Talked to someone who knew Stone wasn't afraid. He knew just the person. Going to her was a gamble, exposing her, endangering her. But he had no other choice. What if Stone found out? What would Stone do to her? He stepped out into the street, silence descending. The air was cooler, rain scent stronger. He started walking towards the edge of town, towards Maggie's small house. Footsteps echoed in the growing darkness, each step a beat of dread. Can he reach it before the light dies? The scent of rain teases the air, but only a fool trusts promises in the desert. Crowder felt the grit between his teeth, tasted the lie forming on his tongue. He looked at the drunkard, Silas, slumped in the jail cell, snoring loud enough to wake the dead. Silas, with his simple mind and trembling hands, was the perfect scapegoat. Stone had picked well. Too well. The creaking leather saddle announced Deputy Flora's approach. "Sheriff," he said, his voice tight, "Stone's men are gathering. Down by the saloon. They ain't looking friendly." Crowder sighed. He needed proof, solid proof, to stand against Stone. The pocket watch was a start, but circumstantial. The doctor's words were valuable, but subjective. He needed something that would make the governor, a man who likely already had Stone's coin in his pocket, sit up and take notice who pays if he chooses wrong. He walked into the jail. Silas stirred, his eyes bloodshot and unfocused. "Sheriff?" he mumbled. "Gonna hang me, are ya?" Crowder knelt, his knees popping. "Silas," he said, his voice low, "did Stone give you something?" "Money? None? Whiskey? Anything?" Silas blinked. "Whiskey," he croaked. "Lots of whiskey. Said it'd make me a man." "Did he tell you to do something, Silas? Something bad?" Silas's face crumpled. "Don't remember," he whimpered. "Too much whiskey. Just woke up in the alley." Crowder straightened. Hopeless. He was chasing shadows. The sun bleeds across the canyon, painting the sky in hues of orange and blood red. He had less than 2 days, and his star witness was a puddle of regret and cheap liquor. What was he missing? Was Silas truly innocent, or was he just too far gone to remember his own sins? The air thickened with dust as riders approached the jail. Stone himself, flanked by his men, their faces grim and determined. The rattlesnake warning in their eyes was clear. "Crowder!" Stone bellowed, his voice echoing through the small town. "Bring out the prisoner. Time's a-wastin'. What will it cost him now?" Crowder walked outside, his hand resting on the butt of his revolver. "He's still under investigation, Stone." "I need more time." Stone laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "Investigation? You think you can investigate your way out of this?" The man confessed. Everyone saw it. He was drunk, Crowder countered. Barely knew his own name. What will it cost him now? "Excuses, Sheriff. Just excuses. You're protecting him." "Why? You got something to hide?" The accusation hung in the air, heavy and thick. Crowder felt the weight of his past, the bribe he'd taken years ago, the secret he'd buried deep. Stone knew. He had to. How much did Stone know? And how far was he willing to go to protect his own interests? "I'm upholding the law, Stone," Crowder said, his voice steady despite the turmoil within. "Something you seem to have forgotten." "The law?" Stone sneered. "The law is what I say it is in this territory. And I say Silas hangs at dawn. Now, are you going to hand him over, or are we going to do this the hard way?" The riders shifted, their hands tightening on their reins. The air crackled with tension. A distant train whistle echoed through the canyon, a mournful sound that seemed to foreshadow the coming bloodshed. What will it cost him now? Crowder knew he was outgunned, outnumbered. But he couldn't back down. Not now. Not ever. "You want him, Stone?" Crowder said, his voice low and dangerous. "Come and get him." The silence descends on the town. Only the wind whistling through the copper mine shafts, the nervous shuffle of the horses, the heavy breathing of the men. What if mercy ruins justice? Stone's eyes narrowed. He dismounted, his spurs clinking on the dusty ground. "You always were a stubborn fool, Crowder. I always admired that about you. Pity it's gonna get you killed." He drew his revolver, the metal glinting in the fading light. His men followed suit, forming a semicircle around Crowder and the jail. Crowder stood his ground, his own revolver drawn, his eyes fixed on Stone. He knew this was it. The moment of truth. Mercy versus justice. His past versus his present. What if justice kills hope? He glanced back at the jail. Silas was watching, his eyes wide with fear. A life hung in the balance. 2 lives, perhaps. Was he willing to sacrifice himself to save an innocent man? And what price would he pay for that sacrifice? Stone cocked his revolver. "Any last words, Sheriff?" Crowder took a deep breath, the dry desert air filling his lungs. "Just one, Stone," he said, his voice ringing with conviction. "This ain't over." The sun dipped below the horizon, plunging the town into darkness. The first shot echoed through the canyon. What will it cost him now? The scent of rain teased, enough to glue dust to Crowder's sweat-stained shirt. He spat, grit bitter. "Doesn't match, Sheriff." "Doesn't match at all," the doctor's words echoed. He stood before Hemlock's cell. The old drunk snored, a wet rattle on Crowder's nerves. Simpleton, exaggerator, easily led. Could he be capable? The sun bled orange and violet across the canyon walls. Nightfall dirty. Crowder knelt, leather creaking. He shook Hemlock gently. The old man startled, eyes unfocused. "What if justice kills hope?" "Hemlock," Crowder said, low and even. "Tell me again what happened." Hemlock blinked. I told you, Sheriff." "Stone." "Mr. Stone, he give me some whiskey." "Good whiskey." Then, I don't rightly remember." "You don't remember killing a man, Hemlock? What if justice kills hope?" Hemlock's face crumpled. "No, sir. I woke up in the alley. My head hurtin'. They said I done it." Dust thickened as the stagecoach rumbled in, a distant train whistle, a mournful cry. "The governor coming." Crowder straightened, back aching. Fall guy paid. He believed that. Could he prove it? And at what cost? He'd have to let Hemlock stew another night. One night wouldn't matter. If he had proof, he walked out, long shadows stretching. Stone died. He needed to talk to Stone. But how approach a man who manipulated the law so freely? Stone's eyes on him, even from afar. Rattlesnake warning, mine shaft wind. Bad omen. Stone was at the saloon, cronies around him. The cattle baron, a mountain, weathered and hard. Whiskey in hand, amber liquid catching the light. "Sheriff," Stone rumbled. "To what do I owe the pleasure?" "Question, Stone," Crowder said. Gaze, unwavering. "Who pays if he chooses wrong?" Stone chuckled. "About Hemlock?" "Confessed killer. Case closed." "Wounds don't match Hemlock's weapon," Crowder countered, watching Stone. Cold, calculating eyes. "Doctors," Stone scoffed. "What do they know about justice?" "Confession enough? What if mercy ruins justice?" "Bluffing?" Did he know? Or simply not care? "Not enough for me," Crowder said. "I need the truth, Stone. One way or another." Stone's smile widened, cold. "Careful, Sheriff. Dangerous game. Some things best left undisturbed. What will it cost him now?" Crowder walked away, silence descending. Stone's gaze burned. He had challenged a man who controlled the town, a man who had likely gotten away with far worse. Back in his office, Crowder stared at the broken pocket watch. Cheap, but distinctive. Identical to Silas, Stone's foreman always carried. Illiterate, simple, loyal to Stone. Perfect pawn. But why Silas? What was Stone hiding? He needed to find Silas. What if justice kills hope? Silas was at the Stone Ranch, mending fences under the watchful eye of another ranch hand. Dust thickened as Crowder approached. Silas looked up, face blank. "Silas," Crowder said, calm. "I need to ask you about the night of the murder." Silas shifted, glancing at the ranch hand. I don't know nothing about that, Sheriff. Can he reach it before the light dies?" "I found something near the body, Silas," Crowder said, showing the watch. "Recognize this?" Silas's eyes widened, paling. I never seen that before." The other ranch hand watched, unreadable. Crowder pressed on. "Don't lie, Silas. Your watch, isn't it? Can he reach it before the light dies?" Silas remained silent. Crowder knew he was close. But Stone's men wouldn't let Silas talk freely. How to get Silas to tell the truth without mortal danger? "Silas, I believe you're being used," Crowder said, lowering his voice. "Stone is manipulating you. He's going to let you take the fall. You need to tell me what happened." Silas finally looked up, eyes filled with fear. I can't, Sheriff. He'll kill me." Crowder knew he had to act fast. The governor would be arriving soon, and Hemlock would be hanged. He needed proof, and he needed it now. But how could he get it? He could arrest Silas, but that would only alert Stone. He could try to reason with him, but Silas was clearly terrified. What if Silas wasn't involved directly? What if he only knew something? What if the foreman was only a pawn in a much larger game? Crowder glanced at the setting sun. Another day was almost gone. The governor would arrive by stagecoach at dawn the day after next. Time was running out. The creaking leather saddle sounded ominous as Crowder considered his next move. What if mercy ruins justice? He decided to take a risk. "Silas," Crowder said, his voice barely a whisper. "Meet me tonight. Alone. At the old copper mine just outside of town. If you want to tell me the truth, be there. But be warned, Stone will be watching." He turned and walked away, leaving Silas to grapple with his conscience. Crowder knew he was walking a tightrope. If Silas didn't show, or if Stone found out about the meeting, he would be in serious trouble. But he had no other choice. He had to trust that Silas would do the right thing. As the sun bleeds across the canyon, Crowder felt the weight of the decision on his shoulders. He had gambled everything on a broken pocket watch, and the fear in a simple man's eyes. Would it be enough? The scent of rain teased, a blue sky unbroken. Sweat glued Crowder's shirt as he stared at the shattered pocket watch. Wind whistled through the mine shafts, a mocking echo of Stone's power. He tucked the watch away, cold metal a grim choice, justice or survival. The saddle creaked as he mounted, seeking Doc Holliday. The doctor's office, above the saloon, reeked of antiseptic. Holliday, pale and gaunt, nursed whiskey. Solitaire scattered. What if justice kills hope? "Doc," Crowder said, low. "Honest opinion. Forget what you know." Holliday looked up, sharp eyes in a wasted face. "Honesty? Rare, Sheriff. What troubles you?" Crowder recounted the drunkard, the wounds, Holliday's assessment. He kept the watch hidden. Is the price worth the trail ahead? Holliday swirled his whiskey. The angle was off. The drunkard's knife. But folks see what they want. They see what Stone wants, Crowder muttered. Stone's got his fingers in everything, Holiday rasped, coughing. He wants a conviction. Unless someone's got the stomach. Is the price worth the trail ahead? Crowder knew that someone was him. Reputation, position. Was one life worth all that? A train whistle mourned in the distance. Journeys and choices. Thanks, Doc, Crowder said, turning. You've given me something to think about. Thinking's dangerous, Sheriff. Stone holds the deck. What if justice kills hope? Outside, the canyon bled orange and red. Dusk and unease. The telegram. The governor. Less than 40 hours. He'd visit Silas, the drunkard, in jail. Stone, the wounds, all pointed to one direction. It was a small stone building, the air thick with stale beer and fear. Silas cowered in the corner. Silas, Crowder said, firm. The truth. Did you kill him? What if mercy ruins justice? Silas sobbed, shaking his head. I don't remember, Sheriff. I was drunk. Stone gave me money. Rough him up. That's all. I swear. Crowder studied him, finding only a pathetic fool. Could Stone use him as a pawn? How far would he go? Who else, Silas? Did you see anyone else? What if justice kills hope? Silas just shook his head, tears streaming. I don't know, Sheriff. I don't know anything. Crowder left, burdened. Dust thickened the air. Across the street, Stone's men watched, hard-faced, a silent warning. Proof. He needed proof connecting Stone to the crime. The watch wasn't enough. A witness. But who would dare? The sun dipped, shadows lengthened. Night brought a chill, urgency. He had to act. Cade stake out the saloon, not Stone's ranch. Too obvious. As he rode, rattlesnakes warned. The ranch loomed ahead, dark buildings against the inky blackness. Is the price worth the trail ahead? He left his horse a distance away, approaching the main house on foot. The windows were dark, but he could hear the sounds of men talking inside, their voices low and indistinct. He crept closer, pressing himself against the wall of the house, trying to make out what they were saying. Governor arrives tomorrow, he heard one voice say, a voice he recognized as Stone's foreman. Everything's got to be perfect. Stone wants that hanging to go off without a hitch. Who pays if he chooses wrong? What about the drunkard? Another voice asked. Is he going to hold his tongue? He's too scared to say anything, the foreman replied. Besides, who's going to believe him? He's just a worthless drunk. Crowder's blood ran cold. He had his confirmation. Stone was behind it all. But how could he prove it? He needed more than just a overheard conversation. He peered through a crack in the wall, trying to get a glimpse inside. The room was dimly lit by a single lamp, casting long, dancing shadows. Stone was sitting at a table, a bottle of whiskey in front of him. He was talking to the foreman, his face grim. Make sure everything's taken care of, Stone was saying. I don't want any loose ends. What about Crowder? The foreman asked. He's been asking questions. What if mercy ruins justice? Stone laughed, a cold, cruel sound. Crowder, He's just a washed-up sheriff, clinging to a past he can't escape. He won't be a problem. Crowder felt a surge of anger, but he kept his cool. Stone was underestimating him. He would use that to his advantage. But what was Stone planning? What did he mean by loose ends? And how could Crowder stop him before it was too late? He now has less than 24 hours. First light creeps over the mountains. Is the price worth the trail ahead? The scent of rain teases the air, but no clouds answer the call. Just dust devils dancing on the horizon, mocking the parched earth. Crowder spat, the grit clinging to his tongue a constant reminder of the choices ahead. 40 hours until the governor arrived. 40 hours to unravel Jebediah Stone's web. He walked the dusty street, the creaking leather saddle of his horse, tied to the hitching post outside the jail, a mournful song in the rising wind. Inside, old man Hemlock snored, oblivious to the storm brewing around him. He was a simple soul, Hemlock, easily led, easily bought. Stone had used him like a pawn, a dirty trick in a high-stakes game. Crowder went to see Doc Evans. The man was hunched over a pestle and mortar, grinding herbs, his face etched with worry. "Doc," Crowder said, his voice low, "you're sure about the wounds? Is the price worth the trail ahead?" Evans looked up, his eyes tired but firm. "Sheriff, I've seen enough knife fights in this town to know the difference between a drunkard's clumsy swipe and something. Hemlock couldn't have done it. The angles are wrong, the depth. It's all wrong." Crowder felt a sliver of hope, cold and sharp, pierce the doubt that had been gnawing at him. The evidence pointed to Hemlock, but the truth, as always, was buried deeper. "Thanks, Doc. I appreciate you sticking your neck out." "Someone has to," Evans replied, his gaze meeting Crowder's. "This whole thing stinks of Stone. But what can we do against a man like that? Who pays if he chooses wrong?" The question hung in the air, heavy as the impending storm. Stone held the town in his fist, his money silencing dissent, his influence reaching even the governor's office, perhaps. Could a simple sheriff, burdened by his own past, truly stand against such power? Crowder left the doctor's office. The sun bleeds across the canyon, painting the sky in hues of orange and blood red. He needed to find a way to break Stone's grip, to expose his lies before the governor arrived, and an innocent man paid the price. He rode out to Stone's ranch. The air thickens with dust, kicked up by his horse's hooves. The ranch house, a sprawling testament to Stone's wealth, sat on a small rise, overlooking the valley. Stone was on the porch, a cigar clenched between his teeth, watching him approach. "Crowder," Stone said, his voice a low growl. "What brings you out here? Come to apologize for your stubbornness?" "I'm here for the truth, Stone," Crowder replied, dismounting. "And I won't leave until I get it." Stone chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. "The truth. You think you can handle the truth, Sheriff? You've lived a lie for so long I doubt you'd even recognize it. What will it cost him now?" Crowder ignored the barb. He knew Stone was trying to rattle him, to push him into making a mistake. "That foreman of yours, Silas. Where is he?" Stone's eyes narrowed. "Silas? He's out working like he always is." "Why do you ask?" "I found something near the scene of the crime," Crowder said, pulling the broken pocket watch from his pocket. "Recognize this. What if justice kills hope?" Stone glanced at the watch, his face betraying nothing. "Looks like a broken watch. There are plenty of those around here." "This one's special," Crowder pressed. identical to the one Silas carries. Only thing is, Silas can't read the time, let alone afford a fancy watch like this. Seems like someone gave it to him, maybe as a reward for services rendered? Stone took a long drag from his cigar, the tip glowing red in the fading light. You're grasping at straws, Crowder. Silas is a simple man. He wouldn't know anything about any of this. Who pays if he chooses wrong? But Crowder saw the flicker of doubt in Stone's eyes, the almost imperceptible tightening of his jaw. He had him. He just needed to push a little harder. Maybe Silas doesn't know everything, Crowder conceded. But he knows enough. He knows who paid him to be there that night, who told him what to do. And I'm betting he'll be a lot more willing to talk than you are. You're threatening me, Sheriff, Stone said, his voice dangerously low. What will it cost him now? I'm offering you a choice, Stone, Crowder replied. Tell me the truth, and maybe, just maybe, I can make sure things go easy on you. Keep lying, and I'll tear this whole operation down, brick by brick. Stone stared at him, his eyes like chips of flint. Silence descends on the town as the sun finally dips below the horizon. He knew Crowder was serious. He knew that the sheriff, despite his past, was not a man to be trifled with. But could he bring himself to confess? To admit defeat? What would exposing Stone cost Crowder beyond his reputation? Stone had money and influence. Could he reach out and hurt those Crowder cared about? You think you're so righteous, Crowder, Stone finally said, his voice laced with contempt. But you're just as dirty as the rest of us. Don't forget, I know your secrets. I know what you did back in '78. You think the people of Clifton will trust a sheriff who took a bribe? The words hit Crowder like a physical blow. He had hoped to keep that buried, to protect his reputation, to protect his position. But Stone was right. He couldn't expose Stone without exposing himself. He thought of Hemlock, innocent and helpless, facing the gallows. He thought of the town, held hostage by Stone's greed. He thought of the oath he had sworn, to protect and serve, no matter the cost. Maybe you're right, Stone, Crowder said, his voice barely a whisper. Maybe I am a hypocrite. But I won't let an innocent man die because of my sins. I'll do what I have to do. He turned to leave, the distant train whistle echoing in the gathering darkness. He knew what he had to do. He had to confess, to reveal his past, to risk everything. But as he rode back towards town, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was walking into a trap. Stone wouldn't go down without a fight. And Crowder, in his desperate pursuit of justice, had just handed him the perfect weapon. He still had 32 hours until the governor arrived. 32 hours to save an innocent man, save his town, and maybe, just maybe, save himself. But at what price? And would anyone believe a confession so late in the game?